Hi, you guys. Welcome. Here we are at the second Revolutionary Love Facebook live stream. Sorry, the light's a little weird in here. The sun was coming in the right way, and all of a sudden it got really wonky. So here we go. Hey, Mark Charlesworth, how you doing? Anyway, so I'm going to keep my glasses on here for a second so that while I just kind of set today's teaching up and talk to you guys, I can also take a minute to greet some people. Hi, Julie Wilkinson. How are you? Hi, Diane Rode. How's it going, everybody? So let me just babble on here for 1 second because this is brand new. So Revolutionary Love live stream. I'm going to do it weekly. Hi, Chris Reed. Hi, Nancy. Hey, Brian. So each week we're going to do a teaching. I'll have a topic. And then once a month, so I think right now we'll do the last Wednesday of the month, which will be this next week, will be, hi Mary, my Revolutionary Love Q&A, which I do when I'm out speaking all over the country. And so we'll just do it here. So next week will be at least an hour, I'm guessing, for me to just give you some time 24 hours ahead of time before the live stream to send in questions, specific questions. And that's always really, really fun to be able to get your specific questions answered and incredibly helpful. I love doing those evenings when I'm out and about. Being able to do that here now with you is great. So, hi Hollis, hi John. Thanks for being here, you guys. I'm so psyched. You know what happened is I just knew that this was the time to do this and did the last one. And I looked and I went, one day I went like, oh my God, there's 1,000 views. Like, what happened? I think I got a hold of my niece or something and said, is that like norm? Is that good? And the point in that is not, oh my God, yay, how cool, so many people are viewing this. The point is how amazing that that many people are saying, this is what I need. This is the community I want. I know, Nancy, it is, isn't it? You and I have talked about this. And by the way, Nancy Marmalade, who's on here, she was such a big help to me this last December. I hired her to help me with some business stuff, to get my branding clear. So anyway, shout outs to you, Nancy. I just need to say that. And we've talked about this, and I talked to Nancy about the fact that there are just so many people that have burning love, intimacy, dating, relating, marriage questions, and either don't have the finances to hire a coach. I'm going to tell you, don't go to therapy for couples counseling. That's, in my mind, individual counseling, absolutely. I don't think that it's helpful for couples counseling. Or they're waiting for workshops in their community. I love this. I am an expert relationship coach. I've been doing this for over 21 years. I have so much information that I can share with you. And this gives me a way to do that and then to answer your specific questions. Hi, Billy. So that's what we're going to do is each week on Wednesday, I'm going to take a specific topic. In the newsletter that I sent out this week, I've asked you for your input too. I've got 1,000,000 topics. I mean, I could talk every day on all things love and relationship, but I definitely want to hear from you about what you'd like some specific teachings on. And then right now, the last Wednesday of every month, we'll open it up to a Revolutionary Love Q&A, and I'll take your specific questions, okay? All right, so while I'm just waiting for a few more minutes for people to jump on here, hi Karen. There's something that when I was meditating this morning, and listening to my clients this week that was really, really catching my attention. And so before we jump into the teaching, what I want to do is just mention this. So just bear with me. It's just bothering me. So I want to make sure that I say it. I kind of make absolutely sure that I listen to my intuition and my guidance around these kind of things. And I'm just hearing that it's important to mention. So maybe it's important for all of you to hear. Maybe there's one of you out there that this message is for you. Maybe I need to hear myself say this out loud again, okay? But what it is I think that most people are underestimating the toll it takes to stay stuck, not make a decision. Hi, Stephanie. Not take an action step. Go through the pros and cons list 100 times. If it's relationship based, which of course for me I hear all the time, hi Saide, it's should I stay, should I go? I think that we underestimate the toll that it takes on us staying in a place of no clarity, confusion. Most of that, this is my belief, most of that is being unclear and not having confusion because we're actually not willing to look at something. I really don't believe that most of the time that we're that unclear or don't know our next step. It's fear. Hi, Erica. So I just want to mention, please don't underestimate the toll that it takes to continue to stay in a stuck place, in a place of non-movement, in a place of taking no action or a next step. I was trained by Louise Hay, so I also believe metaphysically that it takes a big toll on us. I don't want any of you to wait so long to stick your head in the sand around something that needs attention, to avoid something that's trying to get your attention until your physical body decides it's going to get your attention. I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to get into a place of emotional distress, depression, physical pain. I don't want you to get into that place because you're not willing to take that next step. I guess that's all I really want to say. I'm trying to check in on any other information that's coming through. I just don't want you to underestimate the toll that that's taking. I have been there. I remember doing that when I was trying to contemplate a divorce. And I think we see the little symptoms. We're aware of that. If we do good personal work, we're aware of those symptoms. So maybe we know we're getting more irritable. Maybe we know that we're getting a little more tired. Hi, Dallas. Maybe we're aware that we're losing energy or that we're getting frustrated. But when we do finally, take that leap or take that step or face head on something that we're trying to make a decision around, it's astounding the energy that comes just rushing back into our lives. And how many of us then say, oh my God, I was underestimating the toll it was taking on me, even though I'm grieving right now, sad right now, going through whatever I'm going through right now. Having made the decision and taken a next step has freed up so much energy in my life. I can't believe how much better I feel. So I'm just throwing that out there before we jump into this teaching. Feels really important. Maybe I just need to remind myself of that. One of the places that I consistently can kind of put on the brakes and get into what I call a stuck place and then get very frustrated are around next steps with my business. I get really inspired and have great ideas and then do the normal, go into fear and suddenly, wake up one day and think, well, oh my God, can I really pull that off? Who's going to help me do that? Hi, Annika. How am I going to do that? Who's going to help me do that? And I get into that spin. And so that's kind of a consistent place where I can find myself get really stuck. That's where coaching comes in. That's where my great support from a partner comes in. That's where my good friends, where we work together and talk these things through, comes in. But I'm just challenging you right here and right now. Don't underestimate the toll that it takes to remain stuck by avoiding or deciding that you're just in this gray area where you have to keep weighing the decision. There may be a big picture decision that needs to be made, but there's always a next step that's shown, always. If it feels to you like there's not, then I'm asking you to trust that, to go into meditation and quietly not ask for the big picture. And I've been just the person who's always tried to force the universe to give me that big picture so that I know where I'm headed. we won't get that. That's not how it works. But what we will get is always, always that one little next step. So please don't underestimate the toll it takes to remain stuck on our physical body, our emotional state, our mental state, and our spiritual well-being. Go into meditation and listen and ask quietly, what is just the one next step that I know is needed here? Okay? Just felt really important to say that. So any of you that are joining right now, hi Kelly, just was waiting for a few people to get on. Give me some likes and some hearts here so I know that you guys are here and that you're liking what I'm saying. Can you relate, any of you, to what I'm saying about making sure that you do not underestimate the toll it takes to remain stuck in inaction? Whether we're talking about relationships, moving forward with an inspired idea, whatever it is. Are you relating to that? God, I can sure relate to that. Okay, I was just told to share that here before we got into the teaching. So hopefully that's, I know, Billy, it is, isn't it? Kelly is watching. Yeah, bring him on. Okay, thanks. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is actually the keynote that I just gave for the Centers for Spiritual Living Summer Retreat. And that's called How to Become a Problem-Free Zone. So what I really want to jump into are the 3 key steps that it takes to become a problem-free zone. But before I do that, I think we've got enough people here. Thanks, Stephanie. It is a good reminder, isn't it? If you've got a pen and paper handy, grab it, a journal. I really think you're going to want to take some notes, or you can watch the replay later and take some notes. But we've got a lot of people that are in groups that are saying they're going to start watching this weekly. And then on a Saturday or Sunday, they're going to get together and work with the teaching. So I'm so psyched about that. That's such a great idea. So last week I said everything is about the relationship that we have to ourselves. A marriage, dating relationship with your kids, your family, everything comes back to how strong is the relationship that we have with ourselves? How healthy is the relationship we have with ourselves? Because as you've all heard me say a million times, hi Maureen, everything meaningful in our lives centers around relationship, correct? Think about that. Everything meaningful in our lives centers around relationship. And so it starts with the health of the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so what we need to do first, and where I start with every single client, is laying down a strong personal foundation. And that's what we're going to start with today. I'm going to tell you just the 3 key elements that we start with, okay? So let me start here. I'm going to put my glasses back on so I can look at what you're saying. Yeah, Julie, thank you for saying you can relate to that energy of being stuck. It is a leap of faith, isn't it? Thank you. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm so glad we're all together doing this. I just love this. I could talk about love and relationship every day. Okay, so stay focused here, Barb. Here we go. Key to being a problem-free zone. By a show of hands, meaning give me a capital Y or a capital N. Okay? Let me just ask you a couple of questions. So, in talking about becoming a problem-free zone, that you just say, you know what, yeah, pretty much in this area, I feel like I'm problem-free. By a show of hands with a Y in the comments or an N for no in the comments, how many of you consider yourself to have a problem-free zone in the area of your intimate relationships? Who you're dating, who you've been in a relationship with, who you're in a marriage with. Would you raise your hand with a yes, a Y, or a no to say, yeah, I think I'm problem-free? So I'm just going to give you a minute. Everybody just give me a Y or an N. I got a no. Okay, I can actually hear all of you saying, but what if I'm not in a relationship? Okay, if you want to look at your last relationship, was it problem-free? We got a couple of no's. Okay. So how about in the area of family? your kids, your parents, your siblings, would you consider yourself to be basically a problem-free zone? And I'm always doing this. When I'm standing up, I'm doing this. Area of family. Give me a Y or an N. Pretty much problem-free? Come on, give me some answers. Okay, we've got a yes. Anybody else? Okay. Let me just ask you a couple more. Who would consider themselves to be a problem-free zone in terms of their finances? We said it, money. Hi, Lee. Anybody considering themselves to be a problem-free zone in the area of finances? Just going to give you guys a second to give me a Y or an N. Okay, and last one. And yes, I'm going to go there. I'm a relationship coach. Who would consider themselves to have a problem-free zone, be a problem-free zone in terms of your sex life? Yep, I asked it. Give me a Y or an N in the comments. Pretty much, basically, problem-free. Lee, if you're on here, I'm sure hoping you give me a Y. Yes, I'm calling you out. He's been my boss. I love him. Okay, we got some no's. Okay. All right, that's a lot of no's in a lot of areas, and at least not a lot of yeses, or else your no's just not answering me. So guess what? You're not alone. Here's what I found. It's human nature, I find, to believe that we're just supposed to have a lot of problems, and that a sign of maturity is that we learn to become a really good problem solver. Does that make sense? That's what I've seen. I don't see that most of us actually believe that we should be or could be basically problem-free. I see that most of us have bought into this belief that, oh, okay, well, life is just a series of problems. We have a bunch of problems. We're always going to have problems. And so my job is to learn to grow up and be a really good problem solver and be able to do that, fairly quickly. And I don't believe that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first mindset shift that I want to offer you is actually one where you consider, oh my God, so maybe it's actually possible to become a problem-free zone, to not be, okay, pay attention here, to not be creating problems for ourselves, to not be creating problems for other people because of the lack of emotional maturity. Yeah, I know, that's a big heart on that one. Thank you. And to not be drawing problems to ourselves, attracting problems to ourselves. Why? Because we don't have a strong personal foundation laid out. Okay? So, what the heck am I talking about? How can we become a problem-free zone by laying down a strong personal foundation? Okay? 3 things we need. Okay? First one to write down. Grab your pen, grab your paper. We lay down authenticity. That word is thrown out a lot. What do I mean by authenticity? When I work with a client and we start to lay down a strong personal foundation, we're talking about showing up authentically. We're talking about fleshing out personal standards. Carolyn Mace calls it having a personal honor code, and I love that. I just love knowing that I have a personal honor code that I hold myself to. And personal standards aren't about anybody else. They don't have anything to do with what somebody else is doing or how somebody else is acting. Nothing. They are 100% about you and you deciding what you're going to hold yourself to, what kind of behaviors you're going to hold yourself to, what personal standards you're going to hold yourself to, no matter what. No matter what anybody else is doing to you or around you, no matter what anybody else is saying, no matter what anybody else is acting like. This is what you say: I am now ready to hold myself to these standards, this personal honor code, and this is what I come back to day in and day out. This is integrity for me. This is how I show up authentically, regardless of the perceived consequences. So if in your mind you're thinking, yeah, but what about really poor behavior? We're going to get to that. Right now, just take in what I'm saying. Step one is authenticity. Flushing out your own personal honor code. Figuring out what those things are, making a list of them. They should be a stretch, but you should be able to do them. They might be something like, I will show up and tell the full truth in every situation, regardless of the perceived consequences. How many of us decide right now that, well, that's uncomfortable, I'll tell a little white lie there, I don't think it's a big deal, maybe I won't share that, I don't think I need to share that anyway, when we know that we're really actually just holding back and fearful of showing up authentically as our full self. It may be something like, one of mine is, I will lead with kindness in every interaction that I have. That will be my go-to place. I will lead with kindness. That's where I start, at least. Okay? And actually, these are really fun to flesh out. So number one step of laying down a strong personal foundation, authenticity, flushing out your own personal standards, a personal honor code. Okay? Number two, boundaries. Oh my Lord, boundaries. I have people that just hire me to work on boundaries. Nobody understands what they are, what they sound like. People are so confused about whether it's a boundary or just a strong wall that they're setting. People are scared to set boundaries. They're worried about what they have a right to say no to. It's so confusing. So this is a really, really important one, and one of those that will change your life. And I really mean that. If you can get good at setting clear, swift boundaries with calmness, that are not based in an angry reaction, that are not building a big wall between you and someone, it will change your life. It will keep the drama out of your life and help you very, very quickly become a problem-free zone. So boundaries, where personal standards are about just you. They're about what you hold yourself to no matter what. Boundaries are actually about the other person. They're what you're saying to another person that they can't do to you, around you, in your presence, without there being a boundary set, without you speaking up or setting a boundary. So here's a little confusing piece. If people have worked with me for any length of time, right here when I start to talk about boundaries, most people will get this kind of confused look on their face and say, but Barb, you're always telling us that we don't have any control over anyone else, that we only have control over ourselves and our own behavior. Now it sounds like you're telling me that I can change somebody else's behavior. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'm saying you still have zero control over anybody else. What I'm talking about when you set a boundary is saying, if you speak to me that way, deal with me that way, speak around me. When I say that, I mean, maybe it's, racial slurs, maybe it's smoking around me, whatever it is, whatever is not okay with you, whatever hurts your heart and soul. These aren't just rules that you have out there. Whatever really hurts your heart and soul that you're willing to speak up about and say, yeah, no, that's not going to happen here. I don't allow somebody to speak to me that way or to constantly criticize me or verbally attack me. I don't allow people around me, I'm at a party or whatever, to speak these kinds of things around me. What you're saying is, I will then speak up or set a boundary. You're not controlling that other person's behavior. You're just simply saying, if we're going to continue here, if we're going to continue this conversation, if we're going to continue to be in the same room, if we're going to continue here in any form of a relationship or relating, this is going to shift or it's going to be done. Okay? So let me just give you the one example. If someone is in a habit, especially, a partner or, a family member or something, where they're in a habit of being very controlling or bossing you, telling you what to do, speaking harshly to you, being critical, there's a 4-step boundary process. And we can talk about that in more detail. I won't go into all of that today, but let me just give you those 4 steps. And maybe next week when it's the Q&A, if you've got questions, maybe that's one of the questions that we can dive deeper into, okay? So the 4-step boundary process is number 1, inform. And a great sentence to use, let's say somebody's crossing a boundary, they're speaking to you in a way that's just absolutely not okay. You're not going to continue with a conversation like that. The first step is to inform. You say, do you realize? Do you realize that you're yelling at me? Or do you realize that you're blaming and criticizing me? You say, do you realize? And the way that we say that, and Lee, if you're still on here, he and I talk about this all the time. The way that you say that is calm and as if you were saying the sky is blue. You're not angry. You're not reactive. You're simply saying, do you realize that you're yelling right now when you're speaking to me? That gives somebody the opportunity, who, if they're just going off or if this is habitual, to stop. More than likely, if you're just starting to set boundaries with somebody, it will not only not stop the behavior, it will probably escalate it because it's going to piss somebody off, okay? So you just have to be aware of that. Inform. Do you realize? If they don't stop, the next is ask. I'm asking you to stop yelling right now. Okay, this isn't talking, and this isn't lecturing. It's quick statements. Inform, ask, tell. If somebody still won't stop, now we're not asking. It's one firm tell statement. Stop yelling at me right now. And that rolls into 4, the consequence. 3 kind of rolls into 4. I'm telling you to stop yelling right now, or this conversation's over. And you have to have your consequence then. You have to mean it. There's no more talking. There's no huffing out. There's no stomping. If you leave the room and someone's yelling, oh my God, so you're just going to walk out now. You don't respond. You've said what you need to say. What you're doing when you're setting a boundary is saying, I'm letting you know calmly that this is not something I will engage in, or I will not engage in this way. I'm informing you. I'm asking it to change. It's up to you whether that changes or not. That's how we start setting clear boundaries with people. Always with calmness and directness. But I'll tell you what, and here's the key. Write this down and put a star by it. If you don't mean it, and you're not going to follow through, if you start to walk out and they throw something at you, meaning verbal attacks, and you swing around and you start engaging again, the boundary means nothing. You're back to square one. Because this is a training process. We teach people how to treat us. If you're really going to start setting boundaries with somebody who you've not set boundaries with ever, you have to go through a training process, which means more than likely the first few times somebody's going to escalate their behavior and test them. That's just human nature. You don't need to let it upset you. You just need to hold firm, set the boundary over. And at that point, somebody will be left with, okay, I'm starting to understand that he or she really means this. If I want to engage with this person, I know what it's going to have to look like. I know what I can and can't do. So either that person will just probably drop out of your life, which you have to be ready for. Happens a lot of times when we start to set boundaries with unhealthy, toxic people. Or somebody will start to shift, and the relationship will start to shift, and that's a beautiful thing, okay? The key here is boundaries are not walls. They're not walls of protection. They're not you holding a big sword in front of you. They're you here, present, clear, still with an open heart and saying, no, not like this and not in this way. Okay? That's number 2 of a strong personal foundation. The number 3 step of laying down a strong personal foundation is letting go, unhooking from the need for approval of others. Ugh. That one is so hard. We have all hooked into that so much. You know, as human beings, we want people to like us. We want people to approve of us. It feels really good when somebody says, oh my God, I love what you're doing, or that's great, or good job. It feels wonderful, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're hooked on having someone's approval, someone's validation, guess what you're doing every day? You're actually waking up every day and then saying, well, I'm going to throw over here to you my day. I'm going to say, tell me how I get to feel about myself today. And I'm going to put all my power in your hands, and you get to tell me whether I feel good about myself today, whether I don't, whether you like who I am or what I'm doing, or whether you don't, whether you're judging me. I'm looking for you for validation about how I get to feel about myself. Do you see how clearly it's just throwing your power away? Yeah. And that's so depleting of our energy when we're looking out around us, seeking approval or looking for validation. Gary Zukav talks about the importance of us standing in our authentic power. You know, what he means by that is what we're talking about here, having such a strong personal foundation laid down that we're standing in authentic power, showing up authentically, being able to say no when we mean no, not yes when we mean no, and unhooking from the need for other people's approval about who we are and how we're showing up in the world and what we're doing. And I'll tell you what, working on the first 2, working diligently on having a personal honor code that you're holding yourself to, basically meaning that you're staying in integrity, you're bringing yourself into alignment with the man or woman that you want to be every day. Doing that, oh my God, I can't even tell you what that does to your self-esteem. I can't even tell you what that does to your sense of self-worth. When you just simply go every night, you've heard me say this, when you're brushing your teeth, looking in the mirror at night, when you can look at yourself in the mirror, look in your own eyes and go, nice job, man. I like who you are. Nice job. You showed up really well today. I can't even tell you what that does to your self-worth and self-esteem. Hi, Loretta. And when you can focus on living daily in a strong personal foundation, honoring your personal standards, and you then can bring in swift, quick boundaries with other people and be able to say no when you really mean no, that third one, the unhooking from the need for approval and validation from other people, just naturally gets easier. Can you see the link there? That showing up with a personal honor code and saying no when you really mean no and not creating any more drama in your life in that way automatically makes unhooking from the need for approval easier. And once you've got these 3 things laid in place, oh my God, you so easily start to become a problem-free zone. Can you see that now? Because you're not creating problems for yourself by not being able to say no when you meant no, or engaging in drama, or tolerating nonsense from somebody, or settling for something that you don't want because you don't know how to speak up about it, because you don't have any kind of personal standard where you're really committed to showing up fully as you, and you're worried about approval of others. Can you see, when we clear the decks on all that, how you actually can become a problem-free zone? This is so funny. I have had so many clients come to me after we do this work. Thanks, Loretta. I know it is excellent. I've had so many clients come to me after do this work, and maybe they've been working on it. Kind of standard is about if they've been working on it maybe diligently for a month. And all of a sudden they'll come to me, and this is no joke. And they'll say to me, I have a question, but I'm kind of embarrassed to ask it. And I know now at least what they're going to ask. And they'll say, it kind of feels like maybe my life is getting a little boring. Is that weird? So, do you know what I mean? Can you see this? A lot of people don't realize that they've been getting fueled, that there's been some adrenaline rushes coming from living with a lot of drama in their life, a lot of gossip, a lot of, solving problems. And they kind of know they're doing it, but they don't really realize how much drama and problems that they're living with. Hi, Karen. And so when they really lay this foundation and do this work, they're kind of like, gosh, everything seems really quiet and is fairly simple, and it almost has this element of feeling initially like life's a little boring. Isn't that fascinating? I think we human beings are so funny. I find it fascinating. So yeah, a couple of things are going to happen when you decide that you're going to lay a strong personal foundation. A couple of things are going to happen. You are going to lose some people. And in the end, that's probably a good thing. If people can't honor your boundaries, if people are addicted to drama and gossip, if people were attached to really wanting to control you and your life, and you're unhooking from their approval and validation, you may lose some people. But guess what a strong personal foundation does? Helps you just stand firmly, right in the center of your own life, in your own authentic power, and say, okay, you know what I know? Is if some people are naturally falling out of my life, oh my God, what a beautiful thing. I can't even imagine who's trying to come in. I'm attracting on a whole different level. This is amazing. And so you can see all my daters or people who are getting ready to date, you can certainly see how this applies to dating or finding a partner, can't you? I mean, we're talking about family and friends and colleagues, but can you see so easily how this applies to dating and really attracting the kind of partner that you'd be looking for? Yeah. This is great, isn't it? Okay. I believe wholeheartedly that you can become a problem-free zone. I have been. Does it mean that you will never have a problem again in your life? Hell no. Does it mean that you will not be living a life of constant problems, trying to work things out every time you turn around? Oh my God, I got another problem. Spending time worrying about having this conversation with this person. Yeah, that's going to go. I absolutely believe that you can become a problem-free zone. I want this for you. I want you to give yourself the gift of this. And then, as you've heard me say over and over and over, and I will repeat this every week, I'm asking for you to do this for yourself, yes. But I'm also asking you to do this for everyone else in your life, for everyone in your inner circle, in your community, and for everyone in the world, because the powerful, positive influence that you will have on every person that you come into contact with every day is astounding. Hi, Kelly, I'm glad you're here. That ripple effect is incredible. I watch it every day. I watch it every day in my clients' lives as they get out of all this toxicity and settling for ridiculous interactions and start to lay down these strong personal foundations. I watch every day and hear during our coaching calls every week how this is not only making a difference in their lives, but with their partner. And all of a sudden it's making a difference with their kids. And all of a sudden it's making a difference in the interactions that they're having with their parents. And all of a sudden their friendships are better and things are cleared up. And there's a deeper intimacy with their partner. This is the effect that we have on other people. No control. We have no control over anyone else. We can't change anyone else. But the positive influence that we can have on other people by modeling behavior of integrity, calmness, living in alignment with our highest and best self, it's astounding to me. Even today, hi Della, even today, it still just astounds me when I realize that positive influence that we can end up having by simply keeping our focus squarely on ourselves and laying down that strong personal foundation. Okay, before I sign off then, authenticity, having a personal honor code, boundaries, not walls, being willing to set clear, swift boundaries and say no when you mean no, not yes when you mean no. And unhooking from the need for approval and validation from other people will change your life, will be the start to where you lay down this strong personal foundation, and will help you become a problem-free zone. Please give yourself this gift, please. Do it for yourself. Do it for everybody that you come into contact with, because modeling this is changing you, changing your inner circle, and changing our world. All right? Love to you all. I hope this teaching has been incredibly helpful. Remember to give some likes and some love. Please, please, so many of you shared this video last week and sent it to your groups and sent it to the people that you know are kind of struggling in relationship or are excited in relationship and want to keep learning all these skills and tools. Please take a moment this week to share this, to reach out, to tell a friend, hey, you need to start joining this Revolutionary Love live stream. We're a community. We're all jumping in. We're doing this together. So please take a moment to share it, okay? And then remember, next week on Wednesday for the live stream, it's going to be my Revolutionary Love Q&A. So I'll give you 24 hours before to actually send in your questions. And we're going to do it just like when I take this out and I go to different cities and we open it up for all questions. Any question you have, shoot it off to me. We're just going to do probably an hour of Q&A, okay? Peace and many blessings to all of you. Love to all of you. Grab a hand. We're not in this alone. Grab a hand. Share this. Sending you love. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.